Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Five Door Media Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Larison, and we are in the middle of season 4, where we're diving into the future of the cleaning industry through the lens of technology, software, and AI. In this season, we're talking with the minds behind the CRMs and tech platforms that the cleaning companies rely on, not just about features or tools, but about the deeper shifts they're seeing across the industry. How is technology reshaping operations, customer experience, hiring, and profitability in the real world of cleaning services? And how are these leaders building software that can actually keep up with those changes? Today's guest has spent the last decade helping mobile service businesses transform chaos into clarity through smarter systems and automation. Omar Santana is the CEO of AutoMaid, a company dedicated to helping cleaning businesses streamline their scheduling, dispatching, and payment systems. With deep expertise in the field service management world, Omar has worked with thousands of cleaning companies across the country, not just to simplify daily operations, but to set them up for real, scalable growth. What makes his perspective especially valuable in today's conversation is his sharp focus on operational efficiency through technology. From automating workflows to unlocking sustainable revenue gains, Omar is at the forefront of how software can empower service based businesses to do more with less. Omar, we're excited to have you on the show.
That was an amazing intro, by the way.
You know,
I really liked it. Appreciate that.
I take pride in my intros. Not gonna
Yep.
lie. I always make the joke like I want someone just to follow me around in life, and every room I enter, introduce me to the room like a podcast introduction. It's just the
Makes
best
sense.
feeling in the world.
Makes sense.
But hey, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
We've never met before, so this is
No.
like our introductory conversation. As I was reaching out for guests for this season, your name and AutoMaid kept popping up more and more in my search results, and like asking clients who should I should have on the show, and your name and software kept popping up. So I'm so happy you're here. Tell us what's been going on.
Yeah, so it's been a very weird couple of years after COVID, right? You would think that the services that cleaning businesses offer would decrease, right?
Mm.
But it's actually been the opposite, right? Is actually increased as a result. And what's made it a lot of it increase is COVID kind of drove us to this more on-demand way of looking at services and products, right? So they're all about clicking buttons and making sure things happen, right? Whether it's going out and getting something to eat with Uber Eats or something like that, right? Or, you know, finding a local cleaning residential business, right? Finding them online, clicking book now on their website, right? And then just completing that process. So like the software I have, it's not just a maid service software, it's an online booking software, and we like to think that AutoMaid was one of the pioneers behind that.
Mhm.
There was really nobody else doing it 10 years ago, and, it was actually pretty hard to get customers at that time too, more so because they were did things like more the traditional way, right? Like, they go out, they perform an estimate, they do a walkthrough of the property, they go back, they create the estimate, right? They send it to the customer, crossing their fingers, hoping and praying that they accept it, following up with them. And that could take, days, sometimes week with online booking, or at least the software or service that we offer, right? Their customers, their digital marketing efforts, right? They turn page visitors into customers really quickly. They just enter in their service that they want, right? Their service location, the date they want the service, and any extras involved, and then add their credit card, and they're on off to the races, right? So we're very much in tune with like trying to create a customer experience for our customer's customer. We know that's the lifeblood of their business, right? So it's not enough just to get a one-time customer. We have like elements inside our booking form that incentivize recurring customers, right? And on the other side of that too, it's like if you're gonna have recurring customers, you have to have a recurring payment system, right?
Mhm.
I remember I was talking to one of my customers, and he went out to some conference. I forgot what the conference was called, but it was basically where a lot of maids meet. They're in Vegas. They're sitting
Oh,
on a
it's
rooftop.
ISSI. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess it was that, right? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't mention it to me. He was more just telling me a story. He was like, "Yeah, I'm sitting on a rooftop, one of these Vegas hotels, And I'm sitting next to my friend. He owns a maid's business, and they're sitting in a pool. And then his friend has to go, and he's like, "Hey, where you going?" And he said, "Oh, I have to go run all the payments for tomorrow." And then he
Oh
takes
man.
out his phone, shows him AutoMaid. He was like, "Everybody just got charged," you know. So, hearing stories like that really make me happy because it lets me know that we're on the right direction, right? And
Sure.
we're actually helping businesses do what they do best, which is serve their customers and get paid for it.
Yeah, and it sounds like stop spending time on things you shouldn't be spending that time on so you can spend more time on things that do need more attention. It's that
Yeah,
classic working on your business, not in it, you know?
yeah,
I love that. So, let's dive into it today. Let's
yeah,
set the scene of technology in this cleaning world. And when you talked about like post COVID, but let's talk about like the last 12 to 18 months. What is a major shift you've noticed and how cleaning companies are looking and using technology in like the last year, year and a half? Now, obviously, we've had this big boom of AI in that
yeah.
time, but overall, as a whole, what are you seeing cleaning business owners maybe looking at technology or using technology differently than they did before?
So, and this is it's not new, but it's just something that's more prevalent now, right? Like a lot of people are wanting these very salesy funnels added to our software, right? Like, let's say you can't complete the conversion, right? Like you have you don't have a high converting site, right? You're probably saying the right copy in your ads, right? But people
Mhm.
are not actually converting, but they're visiting, right? So I've heard a lot of well, I've had a lot of requests to kind of build out these lead funnels, right? So that they can capture leads and continue marketing to them after the fact.
Mhm.
So that seems to be one of the biggest ones. Is that the other one is like these like fees, right? Like having these like passing on credit card fees to the customer,
Mm.
right? Having surcharge fees like Uber, right? Surge fees during certain times of the day.
Interesting.
So we're getting a lot of requests regarding that. Plus, when everybody raised their prices a couple of years ago, right? Just due to inflation and other things too, right? Um, they didn't really want to raise their prices, right? They wanted to be able to create a line item on the invoice that says, "Hey, gas went up." You know what I mean? So this is the gas fee now, which was something they never charged before, right?
Mm.
So a lot of those type of requests are coming through. Also, a lot of upselling opportunities as the customer's going through the checkout process, trying to increase that ticket price, right? That seems to be a really huge it's an opportunity for us, but it's highly requested, right?
Mm.
And like what's cool about what I'm trying to do is like my end goal for the software is to make it where all they have to do is log in to see how much money they're making, right? And that's going to deal with a lot of like AI that I'm going to be installing into the software, whether it's trying to help our customers figure out their pricing, right, based on their cleaner production rates, right,
Mhm.
the area that they're servicing, right, also the types of houses that they're servicing as well, right? Whether it's apartment versus, single family residence and things of that nature. So like trying to help them with creating their services, getting conversions, making sure that the price is not as high as they can get it, but as offering services that customers are willing to pay for, right?
Mm.
Seems to be kind of top of mind for a lot of my customers. So
Interesting.
I'm building. I'm building in the background right now.
I love that. Very cool. And it sounds like those things you're hearing from people, I mean, whether it's how to have upsells, how to work on like conversion funnels and things like that, which obviously we love talking about that being a marketing agency. But like, it sounds like that's more of like a shift to a growth mindset of a
Correct.
cleaning business owner. Do you think that growth and the opportunity that happened post COVID has fueled into that? And like, where is that line for you being the software dealing with like not just hey we're helping you streamline, we're helping you automate your systems to make it easier to run your business, but also like hey we're here to help you grow at the same time too, like what shift has that been for you internally as well?
Look, it's funny that you say grow, right? Because grow, it tends to be more of that startup term, right? And we did a lot of that in the beginning. So if I can go back a little bit, AutoMaid used to be called Launch 27, right? Launch 27 was started by a guy named Rohan Gilks. He started a maids business out here in Washington, D.C. He was able to grow that business to $1 million maids business within 18 months, right?
Mm.
And what he did was he actually put like the 27 like day, like what he did the first 27 days of that 18 months to grow that business, and hence launch
Launch
27.
27. Got it.
He
Yep.
launched it. Um, so he's no longer with the company, but is not on bad terms or anything. We still talk. But the way that he kind of looked at the market, because I was mentioning it earlier, that a lot of these traditional businesses were very scared of technology and felt like if they did online booking, they would get undercut on prices because they didn't know if the property
Mm.
was too big or too dirty or whatever the case may be.
All those
So
variables that go into a property. It's,
exactly.
yeah, it's harder to do. Yep.
Exactly. And what would happen is that when we started selling into the market, right, our product, we were getting rejected a lot. And it was just because it was such a new concept to them. They'd never done it before. And people, that people will fear what they don't understand kind of thing,
Mhm.
right? So we are like, all right, cool. Since Rohan was a serial entrepreneur and he had a following, he decided to kind of post what he did and then also included launch 27, now AutoMaid, and as a step to success in his like courses and steps and things of that nature. So when when we first launched, like really launched, our go to market strategy was basically teaching other people how to become a maids business owner, right? Because there were way more people looking to start a business, whatever that business was, than there were traditional cleaning companies looking for software. If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, so like our whole thing was we're gonna help people grow. Nobody else was doing it, right? No one was doing online booking, and as a result, we actually created millionaires, right? Like our customers have testimonials where they became millionaires after finding our content, getting onto the software, and they're still here today, right? So when I think of growth, I think of that period of time of AutoMaid, right? When it was launched 27, right?
Mhm.
Now that we're shifting over to AutoMaid, it's not about growing technically, it's more about scaling, right? Because
Scaling and
growing is you're
sustaining.
still kind of
Yeah.
figuring things out, right? Like my son grows, you know what I mean? But at this point, it's about scaling. It's like, all right, cool. There's only so many cleaning jobs you can get. I mean, you could start taking them from other people, right? And or go and branch out into other different areas, which becomes a little bit more difficult to manage when you start doing those things. But so we're saying we're trying to figure out how do we use the tools that we have today, right, to allow people to scale effortlessly, right,
Mm.
while still maintaining minimal jobs on their side, right? Work to be done in the software, whether it's reporting, accounting, things of that nature. So that's kind of like I just wanted to put that in there, right? Because I think it's really important for people to understand that at first we were kind of growing our own customers, right? And now we're helping those customers that we help grow scale out their business. Yeah,
That's such an interesting point. Like the difference of definitions between the word grow and scale. And like, I don't know, I've done this now with our business. Grow is, dear me, chaotic at times, right? Like it's chaos. It's you're taking anything you
right.
can get. You look at that top number, maybe more than you should. That bottom number on a, like a budget or a P&L. Like it's chaos. But like scale is growing with clarity, like
Correct.
growing with systems and growing with just what's coming next before you get there, right? And
Exactly.
I love that too. You guys really, your origin story, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but like it was really rooted in education rather
Correct.
than your actual product, because
Correct.
like there are tons of people who just need to know how to start. And if you get their trust, which I'm a big believer, like the number one currency in the world for business is
Correct.
trust. We're at a trust currency, right? If you get their trust to help them grow and launch in those first 27 days, why the heck would they go anywhere else when they're
Exactly.
growing and scaling and need that software? I love that. Very cool. One thing about this season that I love is honestly, I get to have conversations with, and the people watching or listening at home, they get to hear these conversations that I'm having with these people who have what I've been calling just like the front row seat to how cleaning companies are using technology in the year 2025, and I mean, up soon to be 2026. What are some things you are seeing people doing in the cleaning world right now that are just so smart with technology, with automation, even AI? Like, what are some of the smartest companies? You can call them out if you want. That you have seen, they're like, man, they get it. They're implementing it. They're doing some really cool things.
Let's can I frame it a different way, right? Like,
100%.
and it's still on topic. So what I've learned, and I used to like I've started at the bottom, right? Like when I first got here, I wasn't a like a co-founder. I was the COO at first, right? When I first got into the business, right? But I was selling the product. When I first got here, we had like, what was it? Maybe 19,000 in recurring revenue monthly, right? It wasn't anything big. Um, but when I started out, it I realized after selling to so many people that there were two different types of cleaning companies. One was owner led by someone that used to be a cleaner, right?
Mm,
So they clean, they branched out on their own. They know and the ins and out. They've been out in the field, right? They're just very knowledgeable people about how cleaning is supposed to happen and all the ins and outs of it. And then there was another type of cleaning business owner that was more marketing driven. Like they're just
mm,
very digital, like they understood that it was a numbers game and it was about volume, right? So the cleaning business, like the one that used to be a cleaner, the owner operator, they it's not that they're successful, don't get me wrong, right? They're just not as successful as the marketing guy mindset
mm,
person. And the reason being is because it's like when they think about their cleans, they're trying to squeeze every kind of penny out of it, right? It's almost like they got burned before, or
mm.
many of times, but they're the actual person who got burned. Like they were the cleaner who went out to the job and got burned, and they made a mental note of it, right?
I'll
To
show
never let it
you.
happen again.
Yeah.
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 So so when we get them started, right, they just have this kind of mindset that they have to cross all their T's, dot all their I's, which is not bad. It's detail oriented. But when you're playing with like marketing, right, that's a numbers game,
Yeah.
And when you're using online booking, you're not going out to the property, you're not assessing how much it costs or anything. So the law of averages kind of come into play, right? Where some jobs you'll make a little bit more money, right? And then some jobs will make less, but at the end of the year, it all pans out. It evens out. So what I've seen kind of cutting edge for people that I have, at least on my software, is more towards the marketing side. And this is really about the funnels that they create. And I
Mm,
got guys that like we have an open API, right? So we can create bookings and things like that. Like if you want your own booking form, you can create your own
yeah.
booking form on WordPress, Jotform, whatever the case may be. And then you could feed that information into our software.
Mhm.
So with our open API, I see a lot of people building funnels around like like the end goal being my entering into the software and becoming a customer. But the way that they have it set up, like you come by, you just click it, you give them the email. It's like, oh, okay. Next thing you know, like they're raining down, like they have these like emails and then following them through their website, popping up messages and stuff that like pertain to them. It's a very interesting thing to see because my software just completes like the scheduling part, but then there's this whole ecosystem that they built in
Mhm.
front of it, right? That is just so intelligent, right? It gets the like good fit customers, it eliminates tire kickers, right? Like they're literally getting what I wish I could get, right? Customer, as many customers as possible. And but I think some of the newer stuff, I've seen a lot of people testing out, like, just sending out notifications and things like that after services are
Mhm.
complete. Let's say people are not booking for 6 months. Somehow they got another software that reads that, right? Oh, this guy hasn't booked for the last 6 months. They're sending out text messages, sending out emails, trying to uh, get them back on track with them, right? Or get another service with them, offering discounts. It's just very
Mm.
the funnels I've seen is really what it is, and I never imagined the cleaning industry would have the type of funnels I've seen. Like we're it's almost like they're like influencer funnels, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or, those click funnels that you see like for crypto, right? But at the end, you're getting cleaning service, not
You're
Bitcoin.
getting your house
You
cleaned.
know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of it's all about marketing. Because look, at the end of the day, right? What is a cleaning company, right? It is a list of customers and it is a list of cleaners. And then the mindset
Mhm.
of the business owner at the end of the day, right? So if you're growing your business, that means you're growing your customer list, right? And that's where a lot of the thought process for a lot of my customers come into play. It's like, all right, how can I get more customers? And then they build these crazy funnels for these things.
So how is that? Because I love that you're like paying attention to seeing how people one use your software, but then also like hook other things up to your software to enhance what's possible with your software.
Right.
What's your mindset on that? Have you seen some things? Some people do things are like, oh, we could do that, or
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's look into that feature. Like,
You
how many features and new stuff you're building is like sourced, almost like with what you're seeing people do out there.
no, that's funny you mention it because it's like they're the product, visionaries, right? At the end of the day, look, I've never been a cleaning company myself. I've never owned one, right? I used to have a property preservation restoration company back then. Used to, hire janitorial services and made services for move in, move outs, and deep
Sure.
cleans and things like that. But like these guys are very they're very savvy, and when I see what they do, I do that does the light bulb does go off, right? It's like, ooh. And what's so cool is my customers are cool enough to share a lot of this with me. They'll be like, hey, you got a second? Or I was like, yeah, we get on a call. Some of them even have my cell phone number. Like
Yeah.
we do a screen share. They say, hey, you like this? And I'm like, yeah. you know and they test these things out, right? Like they're constantly in the motion of testing things, and trying to bring it into fruition. Now, above that, I also have like this place where I can send people where they can basically list out the feature that they want, put a little detailed description of it, and then I have my other customers voting on those. And every year, I'll take the top 10 features and I'll make that priority for that year
Love that.
and
Yeah.
start building that. Right. So that's kind of like it's like I literally have people outside that are testing, improving methods in order to get more customers, which are things that once I see it and I see the revenue that's generated from it, it's a no-brainer, right? It's
Sure.
going in.
Yeah. I love that mindset of yours too, because like you said, like you have never been a cleaning business owner. You've hired them before, but a lot of I feel like I see in the tech industry, which I will say in the home services world as a whole, a lot of the tech companies they did start as a business like cleaning business owner or a
Right.
window cleaning company, and it's that classic something to click. They're like, there's got to be a better way, and then they've got that entrepreneurial spirit, and they create that better way. But
Correct.
there's also people that don't, like yourself. But like what I see sometimes is those tech companies have this ego of we might not own the business, but we know better than you,
Mm,
and we're going to tell you the features that you need. And then sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. I love that you're like not only asking for feedback, asking for, feature requests, things like that. But it sounds like you're actually implementing it too. Because it's one thing to
right.
ask for advice,
Yeah.
but then you actually like actually implement it from your customers is a whole different thing too. So props to you. That's a cool thing. Cause like you could easily have that mindset, like, well, they don't know technology, like they don't know software. That's what we do, right? Like
Yeah.
they need to listen to us. It sounds like the opposite's happening of that. So what's on the other side of
Exactly.
that coin?
Mhm.
We talked about what are some cool things people are doing. What are some common mistakes that you see cleaning business owners make in this world of AI and software where we talked about in the beginning? It's so easy to get overwhelmed with it. Say yes to everything, sign up for every possible 30-day software trial you can sign up for. But like what are some common mistakes you're seeing people make as well?
I wouldn't say it's hard to make mistakes with technology unless you're getting a software other than AutoMaid, right? But it's not necessarily mistakes. I think it's more of mindset that kind of people get into, right? Um, maybe businesses down, right? And then, they're instead of like kind of trucking through it, right? They like start decreasing their marketing, start
Mm,
letting the software go, right? They just have and this is a mistake when you start going down, right? Like the business is ebb and flow. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get some people. It's a sales and marketing thing, right? I think what happens is like start people's business start going down, right? They can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They start turning off marketing, turning off
mm,
software, right? And I always was told like before you turn off marketing and software, I mean you let people go. You know what I mean? Like that's something that's kind of stuck with me because if you
mm.
like the marketing is the lifeblood of the business, like if you're going down because you don't have enough customers, you know what I mean? So turning off the software is not going to help because now you don't have funnel. Turning off marketing is not going to help because now you have no customers coming in. So I don't think a lot of people make mistakes once they get to the kind of like the top of where they're at or where they can be, because it's fairly easy. Like a lot of cleaning businesses can, if they have the mindset, they can turn their business into something a little bit more passive. Find a really great manager, right? Or operations director, have them take it over, someone that they trust,
Mm.
and then they focus on other things. And a lot of my customers do that, by the way. I've had people like my top customers reach out to me, hey Omar, you need any help? Want me to write some content for you? Like, or can we do a webinar? Like they're constantly trying to figure out other things. I'm like, don't you have a business to run? And because they're using my software, it makes it a lot easier.
They're
So,
bored. They're
yeah,
looking for work. Yeah.
yeah, and all I'm doing is trying to automate it more, so they're going to be super bored here soon. But I don't think people in the maids business is necessarily making a mistake. I think there's certain mindsets when things go wrong that and then there's some decisions that are made, regardless of why they're made, but they're they're not things that I would do if I were in their shoes.
Mm,
And because and I the reason why I say this is like I talk to almost every customer who requests, let's say they're canceling their account, right? And usually my number one, reason for people wanting to cancel is not because the software doesn't work or they didn't like customer service or anything like that. It's literally like exiting business. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
they're not as successful as they were last year, or maybe they gave it the good old college try, right? So I tend to talk to those people and I'm like, hey, well, why are you doing this? Right? Like, why are you doing that? What do you have working? Are you just calling it quits? Because if they're just calling quits, there's really no point, right? But if they're
mm.
not and they're willing to fight, well, I'm willing to fight with them. And I'd be more than happy to comp a month or something like that just to make sure that you can get off the ground and start getting generating some revenue so you don't feel that way, and the people that rely on you can still continuously rely on you.
Sure. Love that. Well, let's talk about AutoMaid maybe a little bit more specifically. And we've talked a little bit about how you listen to feature requests, you listen to feedback from customers, and that has equaled to or turned into like AutoMaid always kind of evolving into something new and better. How has AutoMaid evolved in the past few years to meet like the ever changing demands of the technology consumer, right? Because I think with more technology just always out in front of our faces, which is more than ever right now, the demands of that technology consumer are also more and more
Correct.
and more. I
Correct.
think you mentioned you have some AI things, AI implementations like coming down the pipe
Yeah.
for AutoMaid, but like
Yep.
talk about like what have been some things that have changed in the last few years, or maybe if you want to give us a sneak peek of what's upcoming too,
I
that
could do
US
both.
have evolved. Yeah.
Yeah. So first things first, like I started this project last year, right? So we built Launch 27, we rebranded it to AutoMaid. And what I wanted to do is like kind of update the way the software looks and feels, right? So we got a new UI that's coming, right? It's going to be
Nice.
fully launched and perfectly workable the first of 2026, right?
Nice.
Um, it
Which
just
when
it
this podcast comes out, it's not too far away. So that's
oh,
exciting to hear. Yeah.
all right, awesome. So I'll be on
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, you better
Yeah,
be on time. You told
I
me
better
to.
be on
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll be like, "Hey, Omar, you said you were supposed to get this out, right?" We just watched the podcast last night.
Yeah.
Um, No, but and it's all about like, so when you look at certain pages and stuff like dashboards and the way you look at your schedule, the list view and all those things, like I really took a lot of consideration of, all right, if I'm the person that's a schedule, a dispatcher or scheduler, like I don't want to be like a slave to this. I want it to be easy, right? I want to be able to just like see what I want to see and tell it, you know, what I want to. I want to see who's not assigned to a cleaner, right? Which bookings are not. I want to see which bookings are for today, but that haven't been confirmed yet, right? I want to charge these customers because they're all their stuff is already complete. Like these like little things that you had to click 10 different places to do before,
Mhm.
right? We're reducing it to 1 or 2 clicks now,
Love
right?
that.
So that's kind of like, it's more about navigation, right? And getting people um who are have like large loads. We're talking about hundreds to 200 bookings in a day, right? And making that screen more comfortable for them to look at so that they can maneuver it without having multiple tabs open. So I think that's one of the biggest things is the navigation of the software and then being able to complete the jobs that you want to do on certain screens, right? I know you've used software and you're like, man, they should put this right here, right?
Yeah.
Or I should be able to do everything on this page, right? So those are
We're
the
all
things.
developers. When you use we're all developers, whether we think it or not. It's like people that give medical advice on Facebook. We're all doctors. It's just what we do best.
And that's what it is, right? So, and that's another thing. A lot of this is driven by customer requests and things that they see in their, and they could be little, right? They could reach out to support. They say, "Oh man, I wish you guys would just, put this here." And I have a really good director of support, right? And what she does is she'll tag that, for me to like read. I'll see that and I'll be like, you know what, they're right? Boom, write that down. I'll create a ticket out of it, get it with my dev team, and when we go to work on that, right, they can, they have something to reference. Like, oh, you know what? That ticket I created, I want that in this, right? So now I have all these, like, as we work on certain screens, I can pull like great ideas that are not mine originally. They're my customers, and so I know I'm doing what's right because it comes straight from their mouths, right? Um, so that's kind of like where well, that's where I'm headed right now is the new UI. Now we have
Sweet.
some
Yeah.
really cool mobile app features that are getting released this year, right? We're
Nice.
gonna have call masking like Uber, You know how Uber like some random number calls and like your
Yep.
Uber's outside, right? The Uber the I'm sorry. The call masking is for the cleaners not to be able to contact the
Yep.
clients after the job's been completed, right? They want to, you got to hold that customer list sacred, right?
Yeah.
So we're
Also protect
implementing.
the cleaners at the same time.
Yeah,
There's both sides of that. Yeah.
and it's a two-way thing too. If they
Yeah.
wanted to contact the cleaner, it's the same thing, right? It's call
Yeah.
mass. Then another feature is going to be like in-app chat, right? Where the admin or the cleaning business owner can control who communicates with who and how they communicate and who has visibility over that communication, right? It's basically going to be like iChat inside of their software. So,
Love
you
it.
can be able to put emojis and stuff like that in it.
Yeah.
Um, and then as far as like AI is concerned, I think the first place it's not necessarily going to, my first kind of action with AI, it's not going to be necessarily like a revenue driver for my customers. What it's going to be is that it's more of like an more intelligent, right, way of like onboarding customers, right?
Yeah.
I think when when new businesses come to AutoMaid, they're doing online bookings. Sometimes it's new to them, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're using a contact form or something like that. They kind of have it in their head what they want. So when we ask them to do their pricing, right, it's a little trivial, right? Like, well, how much do I want to charge for a 2 bedroom, 3 bathroom house, right? That's 2,500 square feet or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And what I want to do is, and we're actually like working on this, is like make it easy for like our customers to get their pricing like just there, right?
Mm.
My cleaner has this production rate, right? I charge this much per hour, right? Like just feed it parameters, and then we build out your pricing for you.
Yep.
and make sure that whatever you've said is your pricing as far as the parameters are concerned, that translates directly into the booking form and the customers are able to select it easily.
I love
So
that.
it doesn't matter if you're a new customer coming on to AutoMaid or an older customer. This is the perfect way to get more precise pricing to your customers, right?
I think pricing is so huge too. I'm really big on Marcus Sheridan right now, who wrote "They Ask You Answer," and then his newest updated book is "Endless Customers." But I heard him speak live recently. I'm about to hear him next month again, and he talked a lot about pricing online. And he said it's so twisted that business owners' mindset about putting pricing on their website is we are scared to scare people off, right? If they see our pricing. And he said, but if you really like actually walk down that road, the people that are going to be scared of your pricing, they're not going to buy from you anyway. But even another block down the road, the people that don't see pricing on your website, they're going to go find a website that has pricing. So like there is no logical reason anymore to not just be like unbelievably transparent about pricing. Because one, you're scaring off people that aren't going to buy from you anyway. Who
Correct.
cares?
Yeah.
Why would we not want to scare them off? But two, unfortunately, we're also scaring people off that could be buying from us. That they are just, you know what I mean? And you can't make people dig and dig and dig for pricing either. Like, when's the last time you were on a website and didn't see pricing within like the
Oh
time you
man, I'm
went
gone.
to?
I'm
Was your
gone.
response like, what? Like, oh, let me look at 40 more pages to see if I can find it. These people seem nice. I'll give them a shot. No, like you're gone, right? Like you're gone to find like that website that is going to give you pricing. So that's huge. That's a cool thing that you're adding. And I hope more people are going to be transparent about pricing. Honestly, our agency, that's something we're changing. We're in the process of creating kind of like those ROI calculators that you're talking
Hmm.
about, those pricing calculators, because our pricing works kind of like in a bundle. Like the more services
Right.
you do with us, the more you save. And like, so it is more of a custom thing. But like, I heard that and I'm like, oh my gosh, he is so right. We have hid pricing for all the wrong reasons, in
Hmm.
the past. So that's a cool thing you're offering and
And
building out coming up.
there's another thing, like, I've heard customers say, it's like, "Oh, I don't want my competitors to see my pricing," right? Like, that's so weird, right? Like, but it reminds me of something I remember on, was it American Gangster, right? So, like, Frank Lucas, he just got shot, right? And he's sitting there with the Italian boss guy, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I just got shot." And he was like, he looks at him, he says, "Look, Frank, success has enemies. What are you gonna do? Become unsuccessful?" Right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think if more people adopted that mindset that, hey, you're always going to have a competitor. People are going to
Yeah.
compete with you all the time, but to be able to break down your company and do it better than what you did, right? That's they forget all the sweat and blood, tears, and all that stuff that they went through to get
Yeah.
where they're at. To think that somebody can just come and just take their customers, right? Like, it's a weird concept to me, right? That's like, you know what I mean? It's just
100%.
it's hard.
Yeah, there's a Tom Brady quote, "Pressure makes diamonds." Pressure doesn't make fool's gold, right? Like it's not how it works. Pressure makes diamonds. So
Exactly.
like pressure is a privilege. Those that
Yes.
are under pressure, if you switch that little, switch in your brain like, "Oh, I am so privileged to be feeling this pressure that I'm in right now." You're a
Right.
good spot. You're in a good spot. So I love hearing about how you keep, involving your customers into giving feedback and things like that. And how you're, like I keep saying, like really making changes off of that feedback. But
Correct.
I want to hear, maybe are there some stories that you have been surprised about how people have used your platform in ways that maybe you didn't even think of yet, or like maybe the features that you're getting with suggestions for, if people are like, oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. Like, do you have some examples of those, or like things that you been surprised with seeing people do?
I log into, so every once in a while, like when people reach out, like I'll log into their account like for help, right? Not
Yeah,
just cause, right?
you're
And
like creeping around. Yeah.
I don't I've just seen like the way they set up their account is just like, I got a mobile auto dealer, right? Or auto detailer, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way, like, for some reason, and I don't know how he does this, all right? He has the whole United States on lock, right? Like, I don't know how business for auto detailers, right? Like,
Yeah,
cuz
like an
he
on
has
demand. Yeah.
so many contractors, and like his system is so heavily populated, more than any other customer I have. and he uses it in ways that are not traditional and not necessarily use cases for us, right?
Mm,
And it's so I'm not necessarily surprised by anything anymore, right? With AI coming out and stuff, there's just like technology is limitless, right? With
yeah.
the things that you can do, I am surprised how some people are able to do more than what my software is capable of doing, though, right? And when I log in and they start telling me like, "Hey, like, yeah, so I set this up. Did you know it does that?" And I'm like, I mean, I knew it did that. I didn't know you would
I didn't
use
know
it
you
that way.
knew that it did that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more of those things that surprise me, right? Without going into too much detail, I don't really
Sure.
want to give his secret sauce away, but um, it does surprise me the way that and customers are very innovative, right? Like
Mm,
they are, or at least my cleaning businesses that use my software are very innovative. Like they're constantly thinking about how to get more business through the doors. Like I had
mm,
people saying that they find cleaners at churches and community places and stuff. They like it the way that they go about how they operate their business, the pitches that they do, like walk into banks, right? Hey,
mm,
do you have an incumbent, here that's already cleaning your bank? And then they'll say, yeah, we do. It's like, hey, look, just keep my car here. My mom always told me it's always good to have a plan B. Like the way they think is very intelligent. It's a lot better than some of the industries that I've seen because I've in previous where I used to work at another company called Help Desk. Way back, they got acquired by Home Advisor, and we dealt with like plumbers, electricians, HVAC workers, and a lot of them weren't as savvy, I would imagine, as the cleaning industry, and it's because what cleaning companies are selling is really a subscription, right?
mm.
It's a subscription
Yeah.
for their service.
100%.
They're very much similar to SaaS providers, right?
Mm,
Um, the way that they think, the way that they attack their customers, the way they build funnels, right? The funneling metrics, the way they think about churn, right? Like just all of that, like it's very similar to what we think of how we think in the software industry, right? And but other verticals don't seem to be as on point as the cleaning or maids business, in my opinion.
I love it. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all about that recurring revenue route model,
Yes.
right? And how can
Right.
you keep building that and how can you keep growing that? You mentioned AI and how it's really just making opportunity endless. Are there any AI tools or trends that you're watching closely that might hit this industry in a big way?
I think that initially what's going to happen is the chat kind of thing, like the chat agents, right, where they can kind of build proposals out of
Mm,
conversations. It's something I'm working on too, so
yeah.
hopefully by the time this is released, I can
You
start
added that
offering
word in, hopefully, and say by the time this is released, right? Yeah, I had a conversation with this was during season 2, which we talked about just AI as a whole. I had Kedma O on, which Kedma, I love her. She's great. She is a lot and a lot of great things. But she has a cleaning company out in Oregon, or yeah, Oregon, Portland. And she has a new chat bot on her website, and we actually pulled it up live on the podcast, and we had like a screen recording. She's like, I want you to test it. So like live on the podcast, we like pulled up her website and like was dealing with the chat. She said, now throw something really weird at it. Like tell it, like, like throw a really big wrench like into this conversation. And it handled it. And she said a
Wow.
team like spends a few hours a day just
Training.
typing into this chat, training this chat, giving it every possible opportunity for like something weird to be brought up in that conversation, and like I think she said, like, why don't you ask it out for a drink on Friday and see what it says? Like, it was, what I mean? Like, we went like really weird, but it was fascinating to see not just like how accurate those responses are, just how fast it was. It
Right.
was just so fast and so instant that I never would have thought I'm not talking to someone real, and I know regulations are coming down the pipe too, where we're going to have to like disclose that this is not a real person. This is probably like an AI bot or something like that, but it was fascinating to see like what that was in real time. So yeah, more and more people adding in that chat, as well as like the AI voice opportunities and
Oh my
capabilities
god.
that are there
Yeah.
too. I've seen so many people like they're getting into the AI cold calling world where they're having like AI voice bots
That's really
cold calling
big.
for them.
That's
It's
really
huge.
big.
And I think maybe not in the residential world, but definitely in that commercial cleaning
Mhm.
world, that's going to be an opportunity for people to just be able to have an AI bot dial, have those conversations, get some sort of discovery call booked or some sort of quote booked, and you just sit back and the AI is doing it for you. So a lot of opportunities when it comes to just communication in general. All right, I want to
Absolutely.
switch to, as we're like landing the plane here,
Yep.
leadership in this world. I mean, you are, a tech owner. What responsibilities? And I loved how you mentioned this earlier when you talked about Launch 27 and like really how you guys looked at launching this business was more of like an educational company that happened to do software rather than like a technology company that happens to educate every now and then. But like,
Correct.
what responsibility do you think software companies have in educating business owners about how to use tech and not just having responsibility in selling it? Because a lot of times people sign up for a software and it's so overwhelming. And I love that you're making some changes maybe to your UI to make that more simple and simplified. When you were describing that, I had a hard time. We make brand guides every now and then for our clients.
Yep.
Like every like a good, really in-depth 50-page PDF booklet about everything that you'll need to know about how to use the visual brand for a company. And the number one rule for a brand guide to me is not that it needs to look pretty. I need to know if I sat a fifth grader, which I have a sixth grader now, down in front of Canva and said, make a graphic for this company. Here's the brand guide. They would understand what to do and what not to do with that brand, right? You have to
Right.
make it so simple. And I think technology companies, they're scientists at heart. So a lot of times their technology is so advanced, not
Mhm.
for maybe who's a developer or a scientist,
Right.
but you got to keep like that person who's going to be using this is not that developer. So I love that you're making moves there. But like, what responsibilities do you think technology companies have for the education side of software and not just a responsibility of selling it to people who'd be interested?
Yeah. So I think very much so. Like the articles that you have, like the knowledge base that you have to. I've seen other software, and they kind of it's either they're using like Chat GPT or something to kind of write the article, but more so it's very technical, right?
Mm,
These are not everyday words we use, right? It's like people just need like more direction, like go to the third column, right? The fourth row and then input
yeah.
that there, right? And I think and the things that we do a lot is that every time something or maybe there's an edge case, right? That
Mm,
we never thought about, and we will write it up like, hey, if you're using a software like this, and we make it very common language, right?
mm,
We use the language that's in the industry, right, of the industry, and then we also implement that language as labels in our software, right? So I think it's very much about tying how the cleaning business understands their business to
mm.
the labels that they see inside their software. There's a lot of times where I see people, they'll use things like, instead of saying this is location or this is a service area, they'll call it like segment, company segment, or
Mm, yeah.
business unit, or these weird terms that people don't know. So when they log into the software, they're kind of lost, right? And it's
They're
almost
having
like
to learn a new language to use the software. Yeah.
exactly. And I don't know if it's done intentionally, right? To kind of get them to reach out like during their demo, like trials and stuff.
Mm,
Oh, we'll just confuse them and they'll have to reach out to us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm not sure, but I like to use a lot of the lingo and language that they are familiar with when it comes to labeling things. I don't like making up my own stuff or trying to do that. And I think a lot of software companies have the responsibility of doing that if they're servicing those type of companies, right? It's just making it easier for them to adopt the software and reducing that time to value so that they understand the software and feel comfortable enough actually putting it in their business, right?
That's so good, that phrase you just said, reducing time to value, which is the name of the game in the software world, right? Because,
Exactly.
like, how many softwares have we all signed up for and we're so overwhelmed within the 5 minutes and we never log in again,
Yeah.
but reducing that time to value, so good. And
And
there's many ways to do that, and speaking their language is one of them.
yeah, and I think like I have like a philosophy too. It's like if it doesn't save you time and it doesn't make you money, I don't build it,
What's the
right?
point?
Like, it's
Yeah.
there's none. Like, what do I need dark mode for? You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's so many little things that software companies do that kind of appease their own, like,
Yeah.
appetite, versus like really if they put that much thought power into building things that people are asking for, right? Or that, or a little bit, right? Like, it's just there's little things that you can do to the software that make it more, and make it easier for the business to operate, right? And those are the things I, before I go and do anything else or build anything like a new feature, I make sure that those things are buttoned up. If I'm going to build something for myself, which I don't usually, but let's say I wanted dark mode, I would just use that as example. Well, then everything that anybody's ever asked me for should be done first. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because my ones come after the customers.
Yeah. That's so good. Yeah, and like that's how you create a software that lasts is putting the
Exactly.
customer's desires and needs first. They will notice that and you'll be able to grow from there. What about you personally, Omar? How are you personally in this? We've said it so many times today, but like in this world where technology is growing and changing faster than it's ever changed and grown before. I'm not a, crystal ball reader, but I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon.
Mm-mm.
How do you personally stay ahead of that curve as a tech leader in like a very real world? How are you personally staying ahead of that curve? What are some rhythms or rituals that you have to help you stay on top of that?
I read a lot. I read a lot of articles and stuff about, AI and emerging services. I'm into crypto, stuff like that. Not so much the stocks. They used to be really heavy into stocks,
Mm.
and then now it's like more. I like the ups and downs of
Were you a
crypto.
stock guy during COVID? Because who wasn't, right?
Yeah,
We all
yeah.
had the we all got
Oh,
the Robin Hood app and stuff like that, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely, right? GE was good.
oh yeah, yeah.
you
What
know,
was it? GameStop. Oh, crazy
GameStop,
GameStop
GameStop.
drop.
Yeah,
Wild times. Wild times.
it's wild. But yeah, I mean, personally, like I use ChatGPT, I use Gemini, I use Grok, I use them all, right? Like and they all have like their own different flavor, you know. Started recently trying to get into like the mid journey, like, kind of AI video creator stuff, and or the
Yeah.
photos and stuff. Just like creating images and stuff like that, right? Like for like my games and stuff that I play personally,
Sure.
right? But like AI's really changed my life, right? It changed my life in a way where I used to have to think I had to like find people who knew answers, right? Like get mentors, like, oh, that guy's doing well. Let me see what he's doing. Maybe he can share something with me. But now, if I have questions, I can just ask him, right? And I get so many different types of responses, and I can pick the response that I like the best.
Yeah.
you know, so that's kind of like how I'm using it. But more importantly, it's like I am staying out of the trends. I'm looking at a lot of the competitors in my space too, right? What are they doing? How are they innovating? Is it working really? You know what I mean? And am I behind them, or am I ahead of them? So the kind of how I use, personally, that's how I kind of use it. And that's
Sure.
what you asked, right? How do I use it
Yeah. Like,
personally?
how do you stay ahead of the curve, like personally? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Ask a
love that.
lot of
Very cool.
questions, get a lot of great answers. That's how.
Can't go wrong with that strategy. That's good. Yeah. Teaching my kids that now. You can never
Yep.
ask too many questions.
Nope.
Yeah. I love that. Hey man, thanks for being on the show. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. It was great meeting you today and like
Meeting
learning
you, sir.
about you and the company. You provided so much value to the audience today. And
Appreciate it.
because of that, here's your elevator pitch. Elevator, like tell me and the audience about AutoMaid. Tell us about like why you are a great option for cleaning businesses out there.
Well, if you're looking to automate your cleaning business, and you're tired of, being buckled down back and forth on phone calls and emails with customers trying to figure out price, right? If you're tired of not getting the support that you need, or being able to contact people when you have issues or problems, right? Um, Reach out to us, support at automatesoftware.com, right? You can also follow us on YouTube. That's going to be youtube.com/automate, right? We have a lot of videos out there on how to use our software. We actually have a large a Facebook group as well too. It's called Launch 27 Domination, right? It's on Facebook. You can check us out there as well. We have a lot of, so we're more than just a company. We're a community of people, right? We do a lot of um, we provide a lot of knowledge and value to our customers, and they can then in turn provide that to our community. So
Love that. Very cool. Awesome. Well, my next question was, how can people learn more about what you're doing or what you're building or get in contact with you? What's the best way to do that?
yeah, so you can send us an email, support at automatesoftware.com, right? That's actually, it's not going into a black hole, right? That goes into I use a intercom.
I can attest that because that's how I got you on this podcast
Yeah.
today, is doing something very similar to that. So he's not lying.
If you call out Omar, right, inside our software, what will happen is they'll take it and they'll assign it to me, and then I'll see. So if you want any information, reach out to me personally. I don't mind, right? I just don't want to bog down my email, or I'll just give you my email address, right? But I think you guys can figure it out if you really wanted to. It's not hard. All right, yeah, but yeah, definitely reach out to our support. Start a chat right on our site, automatesoftware.com. Right, we'll be more than happy. You can read about us on our site, but we're more than happy to help you in your every step of the way.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well, hey,
Awesome.
Omar, once again, thank you for being on the show today. I
Thank you.
really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching, listening to this episode of the Five Door Media podcast and season 4, all about the software, the technologies that keep that cleaning industry going. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a cleaning business owner who's trying to maybe make sense of this world of technology that we're in. And remember, as always, it is not about the tech itself, it's about how you will use it to simplify, scale, and serve your customers and clients better. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.